All right, let's start with your name. Where'd your name come from?
Well, it came from a friend of mine, WillieOso, because every time we kicked it, he was like, WillieOso. Every time I said something to him, he was, see, man, you WillieOso, So I say, you know what? I'm gonna run WillieOso. So when I ran with it, it started to be catchy, you know. Females, they'll hear it. Oh, you rap? What's your name? WillieOso. Oh, I like that. I like that. Then my homies, they'll tease me for a little while, but then I like that though, man. WillieOso, Oso,
So is that part of your real name? Is your real name Willie?
Yes.
Okay, got you. Now, have you had any other rap names before, like in the past, before you stuck with that name, or no?
Oh, well, I had my alter ego, Papa Willie, and that came from, people like to talk to me, especially when they feeling down. They say I have a strong spiritual side. So Papa Willie was just that ego that just lift you up, like Papa Willie, like a biker, that Papa Willie. So I was Papa Willie.
Now, where are you from?
I'm from Miami, Florida.
What's your opinion of the state of rap music right now in Miami?
Well, it's a lot of good talent down there in Miami, but I just think overall, it's the culture and it's the business that's kind of tarnishing the rap scene in Miami. I feel a lot of people not playing their part. Who's in position, like DJs, somewhat, promoters. So that kind of it gives Miami artists, it make it hard for them to really, get noticed and get the exposure that's needed.
Can this be fixed? What's the solution?
It can be fixed if everybody get the mind state of the business mind and understand, hey, let's grow it as a culture, as a community, instead of just chasing the dollar. I respect everybody got to make a living. That's cool and whatnot. But what I mean by chasing the dollar, you can't bury nobody if they just barely growing out the ground. If you take that root up, what they gonna do?
Now, I've been seeing a lot of talent and hearing a lot of talent from Broward County lately. Broward County is not Miami.
No.
What's the difference between Miami and Broward County, music-wise and talent-wise, if there is a difference? I don't know.
Okay, well, I mean, all together is South Florida, because that would be like Palm Beach County, Broward County, and Dade County. Miami is Dade County, and Broward County is just the next county after Dade County. Now, music-wise, Miami had his artists, Deslock Piccolo, Trick Daddy, Trina, Uncle Luke, JT Money, etc. Broward County, they didn't really have that many artists flourishing as Miami had. But just recently, you have Kodak Black. So the difference between that was, since Broward didn't have many artists and Kodak Black made a big statement, for his county, he had his whole county came and supported that. It's a lot of division in Dade County. Everything not always together like that. So that would pretty much be the difference between the two.
Do Dade County and Broward County artists get along? Are there beefs between each county or no?
No. There's no beefs. Everybody just striving to just make it, so it's no beefs. But it's just the fact, since they from Broward, they're gonna rep Broward. They artists, they wouldn't say Dade. They might whisper Dade, but they would rep Florida or South Florida, because that's repping everything as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, as far as 2016, I see a bunch of artists coming from Broward County and saying Broward County. And I'm used to seeing people rep Miami and say Miami, but it seems like Miami's been a little quiet recently. And Broward County seems to be making noise, and it used to be the opposite. They used to be quiet. It used to be Miami artists making noise and so on and so forth. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's very accurate. You know.
I'm talking in 2016 at this point.
Yeah, in 2016, yeah, that's accurate. You know, I just feel, you know, everyone had a time, you know. But what I will say, I just hope the people don't slip on Miami, because it's like a it's like a soldier with a gun ready for war, you know. The clip is loaded up. So it's just like at the flick of a switch, it can all be unleashed again.
Now, what was it like for you growing up in Miami? Paint the picture for us.
Oh, well, it was fun, but then it was rough. It was grimy. It was dangerous, especially as a child, because I mean, I grew up right in the heart of the ghetto in Overtown. And I'm talking about, when I say the heart of the ghetto, you run around in the yard or you coming off the porch, but you got dope fiends, you got the dealers. And then in the midst of that, you got shootouts like every other day, every other night, you know. It don't matter what time of the day or what time of the night. Any given time it can happen. You know, you got I wouldn't call it purse snatchers, but what I call it, book snatchers. That's those who would target the tourists that roll through the neighborhood, you know. And it was just so much, but the struggle is good, and the struggle is real, because it helps to develop you as a person, you know. It's not where you're from, it's where you're trying to go. So it gives you a better outlook, and it gives you a better push and determination. And I'm not saying everybody needs that, what I had to experience, but what I'm saying is I took that with me and I made the best of it.
Now, what type of student were you in school?
Oh, well, my grades was always on point, because, you know, my mom, and God bless her soul, my grandma, you know, they stayed on me hard about education. So I made sure if I ain't want to get my ass whooped or get punished for that long stretch, I made sure I stayed on top of that, you know.
So graduated high school?
Oh, yes, most definitely.
Tried college?
I tried a technical school.
Is that like a trade school?
Yes.
Okay.
But it was just something like, you know when you get that feeling like, man, this not me. You know, what they was teaching, it wasn't really interesting to me. So that's how I knew it just wasn't me, you know. So I just veered on and just tried to develop some type of entrepreneurial spirit, you know. I just took a little bit of what was going on around me, and I just tried to use it to the best of my ability.
What type of trade school?
Well, actually, it was in the field of medical insurance, but it didn't last long, because, like I say, I wasn't interested. It was just something I was trying to do.
Now, what's your opinion about trade schools? Maybe someone watching this interview thinking about enrolling into one. What do you say to somebody thinking about it? Because, you know, somebody might be thinking college, somebody might be thinking trade school, somebody might be thinking something else aside from that. Well, what are your thoughts on a trade school? Somebody thinking about enrolling into it. What do you tell that person?
What I would tell that person is, whatever you feel and believe, you know, go after it. Just because you may see it may not work for someone else doesn't mean it won't work for you. You know, I'm going to be honest, like I say, I didn't feel it would have worked for me. But if you see it and you see yourself prospering and you know that's for you, go after it. Because the worst thing you can do is not give it a shot.
Now, if you could go back in time, would you have attempted that trade school, or maybe tried a different trade at that trade school, or would you have just bypassed that altogether and not even enrolled?
Yeah, I would have bypassed that altogether. I maybe would have considered a little bit of college, but trade school, I would have just bypassed that altogether.
Just curious. Jobs you had growing up, if any?
I had a few warehouse jobs, they was mainly in Central Florida because I had made a move up there with a group of friends. We were trying to pursue the music up there, and I was doing a lot of behind the scene writing. So since I wasn't from there and I was, living with them, I had to get out and get a job on behalf of that to pull my weight.
Did you quit these jobs? Did you get fired from these jobs?
Well, one, I was forced to quit because I didn't have the necessary transportation. And one, I got fired for insubordination. I felt like that was another situation where I was discriminated as a black man because I was a crew leader, and there was a truck that we were supposed to load that it got by my supervisor. So we ended up leaving the job like 3 a.m. But it was cool. So 2 days later, they awarded me Employee of the Week. So that was like the night shift. So that morning shift supervisor, I think he had a real problem with blacks, and he sat back and he watched me, and he just got on my back. He like, why you just standing here? Won't you go out and go pull something too? But I'm crew leader, If I feel a need necessary, I want to make sure the crew doing what they supposed to do. So I said, okay. So I'm moving at my own pace, and he stayed on my back. Why you moving so slow? So after so much jugging, it kind of got to my little anger. So I turned around and asked him, well, you want to do it faster than me? And that's just what he wanted to hear. He said, what did you say? Come to my office. We're finna get rid of Willie for insubordination. And that's what happened.
Now, any crazy stories dealing with those jobs, aside from those things you just mentioned, any other crazy stories dealing just with those jobs, period? Anything out of the norm?
Well, other than the work is just, you got to be tough with the work. But yeah, out of the norm, even back with this last one, I got fired. The environment was just a health hazard, It was real dusty. It wasn't really clean, And I gotta say glory to God, because prior to my getting fired, 3 months later, the warehouse itself burnt down. I don't know how, but it's burnt down. There's no more.
Like after hours did that happen, or was it while people were working regular hours when that situation occurred?
Well, I'm not really sure, but one thing I do know, it got burnt down. It's there. It's not there right now today.
Now, in regards to your upbringing, were both parents in your life?
No. Actually, I had my mom and my grandmother. God bless my father's soul. He just passed recently in the beginning of July. That's my father. I still love him. But, I never met him, But one thing for sure, my Heavenly Father, he always been there. And I got to be thankful for that.
So both parents, did you grow up as like one household, or were they separated, or?
No, it was one household.
Okay, so you had them both at the same time?
Yes, my grandmother, my mom. Then I also had my aunts, uncles.
No, I was talking about your dad. Your dad and your mother was living in the same household?
No.
They were separated?
Yeah, they were separated.
Yeah, okay. Now, what about as far as siblings? Are you the only child?
Oh, no. I have 8 brothers and 5 sisters that I know about. Now, I still have siblings, I have a few siblings in Texas, some in Alabama that I haven't met yet,
Anybody else aside from you and your family raps?
No, just me. Just me.
What does your family think about your career, rap career?
Oh, well, my mom love it. She supports it heavy. You know, it's not a day, because it done been times I wanted to just leave it alone. And she always be like, well, why you want to leave it alone? I mean, you could do it. You good at it. Don't give up. Those are always her final words. If she can't say nothing else, the my final word, don't give up.
In regards to your parents, what's the worst thing you put them through?
Well, for one, when I was in school, I used to cut class a lot. And when I come and bring a report card home, she'll see all these days out of one class. You leave out of here every morning. How you end up missing all these days? And then, you know, when I graduated and then when I veered off in the streets, going to jail here and there, you know. And then it always bothered them because a lot of my friends, you know, God bless their soul, they was getting killed right around me. And she'd always tell me, you know, you got to leave that alone. You got to find something else. And I guess my hard-headedness didn't necessarily agree, you know, at the time. So I would just say, you know, overall, just worrying about me in the streets, that was like the worst it ever got.
What's your message to the youth?
My message to the youth is go to school, get an education, read your Bible, you know, because that Bible is like life. It's everything outside of everything, you know. Keep God first, and anything you feel you can achieve, you know, anything you see yourself doing, any dream, go get it. Because it's not by coincidence that you feel it. It's not by coincidence that you see it. Go get it. You can do it. That's you. That's your calling.
How did you get into rap music?
Okay. It was one day, you know, it always been in my spirit, but it was one day I'm out on the block with the homies, and it's something about if I hear a certain beat, a song that come on a certain beat, it came on, and I found myself freestyling. And I be doing it low because I was kind of shy. But my homie, he heard me and he was listening. And when I finished like freestyling over the verse, he was like, "Who that was?" I said, "Who was what? Who that was you was just rapping?" I say, "That was me." And he was like, "Nah, that wasn't you." I said, "Yeah, that was me." "Nah, man, for real." I said, "Nah, that was me." He said, "Man, you nice, man. You need to do something with that." And I always took that and held on to it. And it was a time when I went to jail, but I only did a day. And when I came home, my mom had a friend that lived in Central Florida, and her son named Eric, he go by the name of Big Baby, he was doing the music. And my mom said, "Hey, you know Eric up there doing the music, you know, he making some real moves. You might need to, you know, get with him on that." And I said, And when I reach out, you know, that's what fully brought me in.
What age was this?
This was like 16, 17.
Any musical influences? Anybody that inspired you?
Oh, yes. Scarface, Beanie Siegel, my homie Deslot Piccolo, because him and Vito No Shake, they was always round with Ace Ron, and they always had their little circles, their little ciphers going at it, you know, freestyling. So by that being inside of me, and I'm having my favorites, my greats, Pac, Biggie, you know, I always got to salute them, because the time when I started to seek the music business, those were the relevant artists that was there. So it was like, you know, that was my real inspiration.
How many years would you say you've been perfecting your craft for?
Oh man, I would say it was for well over 10 years. well over 10 years.
Do you remember your first rap or what you were rapping about back then?
Oh, yes. My first rap, I was rapping about the streets. You know, and I wasn't really talking about nothing at the time. I was just riding the track. But that first rap, it meant a lot to me because when I recorded it and I heard, I say, wow.
When it comes to the music industry, what bothers you the most about it at this point, if anything? What's your biggest pet peeve with it?
What bothers me the most? I would say the new rappers now. Because, see, I like to listen, and I'm into messages. And a lot of the new rappers, it's like they mumbling to me. You know, they saying something, and I can't make out what they saying. I mean, the vibe there and the rhythm there, but the words is like I cannot put it together. I wonder what's going on. You know, and that's one of the biggest problems now.
Who do you blame for this? Do you blame record labels and executives or listeners and consumers?
I blame the listeners and consumers. That's who I would blame.
Can this be fixed? Do you see a solution to this?
I feel like it could be fixed. Now, when it could be fixed, I would say more and more rappers going to just have to just stay in their lanes and not follow that trend. And more than likely, it could be fixed like that. You know?
Why blame the listeners and consumers?
Because those are the ones who embrace it. You know, they like it, they bouncing. And the difference between me and them, okay, I like it, I'm a bounce, but I want to hear what you're talking about.
Top 3 things you need in the studio.
I need my prayer. I need my headphones turned up. And third, you know, I just need the Lord to just see me through, you know, use me as a tool and speak through me.
Craziest studio story, if you have one.
My craziest studio story. When I was up in Central Florida and we was recording out of the room. And I sat there and I recorded a whole song. And my homeboy, he was kind of new to the Pro Tools. And he didn't save it. And I want to say it crashed, but I think he hit a button before it crashed. And I lost the whole session right then and there. So that was the craziest studio session.
I'm sure you come across a variety of beats. Have you ever received a beat that you passed on that became a bigger song for somebody else?
I won't say that. I won't say that because, you know, I kind of move on things, you know, and if I hear something I like it, I roll with it. But as far as hearing something and let it go, and someone else did something and blew up, nah, I never did that.
What's the realest song you ever wrote so far in your whole catalog of music?
The realest song, man. I would have to say, you know, because that's a single that, you know, I'm going to start pushing right now, you know. And what make it real to me, that was one where the track gave me the breaks and the avenue to really deliver and speak my mind and really do me.
Risk versus reward. What's the biggest risk you took for your music career so far?
Whoa. It done been many. Well, like I say, you know, I do a lot of sacrificing in the streets. I do a lot of saving, you know. And like the streets just a risk itself.
Now, you've been in the music industry for 10 years, or perfecting your craft for 10 years, right?
Yes.
I should say. What's your proudest accomplishment so far in your music career?
My proudest accomplishment is to be able to, purchase my own tracks, files tracked out, pay for my own mixing, mastering, and actually have a whole album ready and finished.
What's the biggest misconception of you?
Well, biggest misconception.
One thing people think but just isn't true.
Well, not some people. People tell me I have a better shot at being a preacher than a rapper. But me, I say a preacher, rapper, they both have something in common because they're going to deliver a message. So that's my aim and my purpose, to deliver a message.
Do you make gospel rap music?
Yeah, I made a few songs on that note. And a lot of times I just speak what I feel, but no matter what I feel on every song, I acknowledge the Lord in one way, shape, or form.
Why not go the gospel rap lane?
I can't really say why I won't do it, Maybe it's because I never came across an avenue that would allow that. That would be like the overall purpose. But if I ever do cross an avenue, I will pursue that route also.
Currently, do you make clean music?
Yes.
So like in your music, no explicit lyrics, none of that type of stuff?
No, because when I first started out, it wasn't like that. And then I was behind the scenes, like I was a co-writer, and we had a female artist, and she had a lot of explicit stuff. And I noticed when she had a radio opportunity and they would play her song, it was so many blurs and bleeps till it took away from the song. And I said to myself, I don't want that. I want people to hear what I'm saying.
So currently you don't cuss in your music or anything?
I don't really curse, but if I do, I might use one curse word. That's if I necessarily have to express what I'm trying to get out.
And what word is that?
Well, it all depends, I might say, I might say fuck. Just give an example, or motherfuck,
So that is explicit. But you don't say it all the time?
No.
I see. So when you put out music, do you use a parental advisory sticker, or you don't need to?
No, I will use it.
Okay. All right. What's your stance on the N-word?
Well, I really don't try to use the N-word, because I just feel like I can express, things in other ways than having to use the N-word. I can say dog or homie or bruh,
So your current music today, you don't use it at all, or sometimes you do use it here and there, or?
No. Right now, I don't use it.
But you have maybe in the past?
Yes.
All right, I was just curious. Now, when people listen to your music, are they surprised to see it is clean? Pretty much clean for the most part. Do they even notice?
Well, I wouldn't say they notice, but what surprised them is the fact to hear me, because a lot of them be shocked that I even rap. So that's what surprised them the most.
And if you have any features or you collab with somebody, if they curse or they cuss in their music, is that a problem for you?
Well, no, it won't be a problem for me because, that's their music, and I'm going to still maintain my guidelines on how I record and what I create.
I just asked because I did an interview with someone that specifically does clean music, and they like to do features with some notable people, and they actually go out of their way and say, hey, can you not curse when you do this feature? So they kind of want to be all the way clean, the person I interviewed. So I was just curious what your mind state was on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, some people, they have to, I guess they have to express themselves, but like I say, me, I just do me. I'm different. If I know there's going to be a single that I'm going to direct the radio, then I would forewarn them, hey, I'm going to go to radio with this now, so you want to be clean,
Craziest rumor you heard about yourself?
Well, with different women, the females, they call me a liar.
True? Are you a liar?
No.
Do you care what people think of you?
No, because, I came in the world just like everybody else. I'm no better than anyone else. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Now, if a person have a certain opinion about me, hey, you're entitled to your opinion. But me, as a person, I have to be me, and I have to rise above what anybody else think of me. So, therefore, I don't, I'm not bothered by that.
What are your keys to success?
Well, at first, keep God first. That's always first. To do what I can to help others, because again, I believe what I do for others, God, will make happen for me. And overall, just to be happy, because when you're happy, you have a focused mind. Your vision clear. So I feel if I can maintain those 3 keys, I can stray down the right path.